Richard Schoeck's body was lying cold and riddled with bullets. At the very same moment, Georgia cops have Stacey Schoeck in a quiet room with serious questions about her husband's murder.
In order to find out what happened out there, that's what we're...
But please, I don't know anything about how this happened.
Okay.
Stacey says she has no clue, but cops know there's at least one clue found at the bloody scene. A mystery set of tire tracks discovered in the wet soil.
The tire impressions didn't match her car or Richard's, so we knew there was a third person there.
Could that third person be the hitman? Detectives learned Stacey had been having an affair with a man named Juan.
Do you want to take a polygraph? Whatever you want me to do.
But her lover has a rock-solid alibi, and he's cleared, so cops are back to searching, obsessively trying to match the brand of tire to the tread marks and a killer.
We began to look on the internet. We went to tire shops. We went to the local Sam's, to Walmart, anywhere that sold tires.
Then, a stroke of good luck as Lieutenant Franklin was checking out a local tire store.
My partner said, take a look at this one. And we determined that that was the brand tire that had left the impression. It was a Goodyear Integrity. And so at that point, everybody we talked to, their tires got looked at.
But with countless cars using Goodyear tires in the area, searching could be an overwhelming task. And just as cops were about to lose hope, an unexpected tip that quickly leads cops to wonder if Stacey wanted to rub out her fifth husband.
An IT technician at the spine clinic where Stacey worked called us.
His job to clear out junk email from employees' accounts.
And he said, when I went through Stacey's computer, I went to go ahead and empty her spam out of her inbox, but her inbox was completely empty for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the day of the murder.
Another lucky break, an electronic trail with markings of a different kind.
And he said, that's very unusual. And he said, but I have backups of all of those if you guys would like to have them. And we said, absolutely.
Detectives immediately obtain a warrant for all of Stacey's emails after scouring 4,000 to raise eyebrows. One of them written a few weeks before the murder to a bank.
Request to transfer $8,902 from a real estate account that the doctor's office had into the personal account of a lady named Lenitra Ross.
Lenitra Ross, a medical assistant at the practice where Stacey worked, and then, curiously, another money transfer to Ross, just days before that bloody Valentine's Day.
The Friday before the murder, there's another request through SunTrust for another transfer for $1,100, and that went through also to Lenitra Ross's personal account.
Cops soon learn Lenitra was renting a home from Stacey. They immediately pay Lenitra a visit, recording the interview.
So how much money did you get overall?
It's been about, it was 89 at first, and then 8,900.
When you're looking at a murder for hire, you're looking for a transfer of money. And $10,000 is a nice even amount, but we needed to figure out who the other parties were.
But Lenitra seems to have a reasonable explanation. Stacey transferred money for repairs on the rental house.
Lenitra Ross said that she could provide receipts for the house repairs and for the water line repair.
And then we got another leak, a main water valve leak. So she paid for half of that. So it's been about $10,000.
Lieutenant Franklin was frustrated. At this point, the emails and the transfers lead nowhere. But then, another clue surfaces, this time from Stacey's own cousin, Connie Hearn.
That was my grandparents' car, the Impala.
Turns out the Impala was a car given to Stacey to sell, the money to be used for her grandparents' medical expenses. But strangely enough, the Impala would go missing for a few weeks out of Stacey's driveway, then suddenly pop back up. What didn't appear was the money.
Stacey had claimed that she'd gotten, I believe, $14,000 out of it, but my grandparents never saw the money. I thought that was weird.
And even more suspicious, investigators find the Impala parked at Lenitra Ross's house, stunningly with Goodyear Integrity tires on it.
I jumped up. I became extremely excited.
Now the only question, who was driving the Impala the night Richard was murdered?
There was evidence at the scene based on the layering tire impressions that the fender lay in wait for Richard.
On a hunch, Lieutenant Franklin turns his radar to cell phone records.
My thought process is he going to sit there and twiddle his thumbs, or what's he going to do, or is he going to make a phone call? A lot of people text constantly.
Franklin subpoenaed phone records made around the time of the murder from something called a tower dump.
When you make a phone call, your number, the number you dial, the date and the time, and the duration of the call are all captured at the tower, and that information is saved at the tower.
The tower serviced 4 major carriers, thousands of pages of records, but the dogged investigator had an idea. Compare the numbers from the tower dump to the numbers in Stacey's contact list and see if a match comes up.
I had to find a way I had to teach myself how to do this. About an hour into that search, I found a number that was in Stacey's phone that had made a call from Belton Bridge Park, or the tower that services Belton Bridge Park, on the night of the murder at about 8:40 p.m. So this phone call at 8:40 was very compelling.
The phone number attached to that call was listed in Stacey's contacts as a guy named Reggie, aka Mr. Results. Even more compelling was the number that Reggie called.
So I went back and looked, and I should have recognized the number because it was already in my notes, because it was Lenitra Ross. So at 8:40 p.m. on February 14th of 2010, whoever Reggie is, who is known to Stacey because he's in her cell phone contact list, called Lenitra Ross from the park.
But who is Mr. Results? Lieutenant Franklin Googled him the next day and found Reggie is a personal trainer and former semi-professional boxer who held boot camp sessions at Stacey's office.
At that point, things started coming together because we were already looking at a murder for hire, and this really kind of solidified that this was the third part of the triangle, because we had suspected Stacey was the linchpin. Lenitra Ross received money in the weeks leading up, and now this was our third person that we felt was involved.
Up next, what is the motive?
Stacey Schoeck was controlling and conniving and manipulative.
It's not to live happily ever after with her Latin lover. And what happens when all of the players in this murder for hire get grilled?